Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner football fans podcast. And you got Terry and Rob here. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
And we are podcasting from the Podcast Palace.
Of course we are.
In lovely Norman, Oklahoma on this Halloween night. We're not giving away candy. Because we could go to jail for doing that type of stuff. But as always, the podcast is not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma.
But we do have eligibility left.
And we are only taking Division I visits.
That's right.
That's, no need to waste our time with, JUCO or anything like that.
Well, where you want to go first?
Yeah, exactly. So waiting on that call from Lincoln to follow up with us. But also, whatever you're listening to, push that subscribe button, whether it's YouTube or iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud.
You know what's funny is you're reaching out with your finger to touch something.
I know.
And nobody can see that.
I know. But, they know it now. So, but this is our Tailgate Like a Champion. We have some folks, our regular folks coming on. Tim's not going to be able to be with us. He's trick-or-treating with the kiddos. And, of course, Adrienne, she's a woman. We got to do everything on her time.
Well, of course.
She has sweaty yoga or something like that tonight. Yeah.
I think you and I'd probably be trick-or-treating if we thought anybody would give us some candy.
Oh, yeah. Well, we did. Grandkids are up here from out of town, and I sent them away with instructions to bring back.
You're not getting no candy.
Yeah, I know. But as long as it's not Skittles, I'm happy. So... And we're not going to get into that again. I know everybody's tired of it. So,
well, I mean, why would you eat Skittles, being that's a fruit, right?
Exactly. So, but we're getting ready for the Oklahoma Texas Tech game. Oklahoma coming off their 51-14 thumping, slaughtering of the Wildcats, and
more like Mildcats.
Yeah, Mildcats, and the Red Raiders, I almost said Red Rangers. Red Raiders are coming off their 40-31 loss at Iowa State. But
do you feel like we can keep them under that number that Iowa State kept them under?
Absolutely. Yes, I do. Would you like to know why?
Absolutely.
Well, that's why we have these discussions, isn't
it?
Well, I think our defense is better than what it was last year. We held them to 27 points last year. I definitely think our offense is better. I think we'll score more than the 49 we scored last year.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Do you think Lincoln is scheming now to keep the offense out on the field just a little bit longer? I mean, if a play breaks, it breaks. But it seemed like, the last game you read the scoring times, and it just got longer and longer.
But see, he's always done that. I mean, I think Lincoln has always thrown the ball to set up the run. You know what I mean? Instead of vice versa, most people say, we're going to run it to set up the pass. You got to have the play action so you can open up those passing lanes. His offense is so dynamic that, and what I mean by that is that the reason why guys are running open is because that's how it's schemed to do. He schemes it to pull people out of coverage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the offensive coordinators setting up in the booth are going, okay, look, they're in a nickel defense. So this zone or whatever, it's going to work or whatever,
right.
Whatever play, I think that's what they're doing. They're just sitting up there watching the scheme of the defense and saying, okay, they're in a man, so we're going to put,
Yeah, but if you watched the game last week, like I was saying on the earlier one, there were plays where, like the one where Calcaterra come underneath wide open. The play was designed to make him open. You know what I mean? It wasn't because he did anything special. And they even showed, I watched the playback, that they ran 2 post routes and I think an out route, and it just kind of opened up and he just kind of slipped out there. In the same way with when CeeDee Lamb caught that one where it wasn't a busted coverage. They were going to cover something else when they realized, holy crap, this guy's busting out here by himself.
Yep. Well, actually, Lincoln answered that question at the coaches show, and it's kind of an option on the route where the safety goes.
Mm-hmm.
So in that play, Kyler is reading that safety. So when that safety comes up, he's either going to do one of two things. He's going to hit the flat with the back or whatever ran out there, or he's going to hit that seam route or that post route that Calcaterra was running. And it just so happened he came up, so Kyler burned him deep. Now, had he went back, he would have hit the flat route.
Right.
So one of them was going to be open.
Right.
They caught him in the right coverage. So that's the scheme that I like to see the offensive coordinator, who is clearly out coaching the defensive coordinator for the team.
But I think what he does, he did it last year, and he's doing it this year. The more that we're able to open up the passing lanes and do what we want to do passing, that just sets up the run more. And then we just start, after our big offensive line is just beat up the defensive line, we run them ragged with our passing game.
Absolutely. There's not one single thing that you can say, okay, we're going to load up and stop that run.
Right.
Because, number one, we're going to run it anyway.
Right.
And number two, Kyler's going to pick you apart.
Right.
And he's going to throw deep. He's going to throw short. So you're not going to say, okay, we're going to drop back and we're going to keep everything in front of us, because we'll kill you there too.
Right. But see, I think he learned from last year, because if you notice, he comes out in the second half and does the same thing. He continues what he started the game doing, throwing it around, and then goes back into that drum, because the Rose Bowl, he became too conservative after we had that big lead.
Yep.
Came out, we went 3 and out, just, went too vanilla. He still opens it up and has been making those defenses spread out to cover everybody, and then you just start running the ball. You just start beating them up.
Yep.
But I think you're right. I think he has realized, I've got to do something to help this defense out, because scoring, once every 10 plays is
every 9.2 touches.
Yeah. It was putting that defense out there, but I still think the defense is playing much better than what they were the Texas game. And I don't know, if that's coaching, I don't know if it's simplified, I just don't buy that it's simplified, because college football is complicated now.
Sure it is.
You can't go out there and go, okay, we're not going to run we're going to run a junior high defense.
No, but
against
I think
these
you
guys.
can simplify the scheme.
Yeah.
But
what I don't want is what happened 2 years ago. I wanted what happened 2 years ago or 3 years ago to happen to Kansas State, the 55-0 drumming.
Yeah.
But Rob and I, my wife Teresa was in the hospital, and she called Rob while she was in the hospital and said, come and get him and take him to Buffalo Wild Wings and watch the game. Remember that?
I do remember that.
I'd been at the hospital for 4 days with her.
I felt super guilty, but it's Buffalo Wild Wings in the game.
Yeah, and, so we went out there and sat down, and, I listened to Toby Rowland this morning, and he said it was one of the most agonizing games to call, because he was worried he couldn't keep up, but he loved the game. He thought it was great. He asked it on Twitter today. I thought it was the worst football game I ever watched as a Sooner fan. Next to the USC drubbing. Okay.
That West Virginia game for me from however many years ago.
Yeah. But the weirdest stat of all stats and ever of stats is that Oklahoma and Tech both had 854 total yards.
Yeah, that's weird.
Exactly the same. 1,708 yards.
Are
combined.
those records?
I believe so. I think it's the most any two teams have put up. But it was literally, I think Rob and I just about had a stroke through a lot of it.
Times.
And we ended up winning the game at a ridiculous 66-59. And I remember getting back up to the hospital, and Teresa had watched it on the TV TV and she's like, well, that was a fun game, wasn't it? I was like, no, it was the worst game ever. It was terrible.
Oh gosh. Well, the good thing about it was the defense wasn't gassed at all because there were several series that they didn't even go out.
Yeah, it was.
They just let the offense go out there and score. So.
Yeah, and it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Two great quarterbacks. I mean, look at Mahomes. Look what he's doing in the NFL right now.
Oh yeah, he's killing it.
But no, there was no defense. It was like it would just like stand out there and really the difference in the game was really two turnovers that Tech had. They had 2 turnovers. Oklahoma had none.
You realize he had 88 pass attempts in that game?
Yes, I know.
88 pass attempts.
And completed 52 of them.
Oh, that's crazy.
And that, don't they pull pitchers out before they throw 88 pitches?
Well, a lot of them get to 100, but some of them don't at all ever. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Speaking of – go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Oklahoma we threw 36 passes, but we had 309 yards rushing.
Yeah. And
Mixon went off that game, I think. Isn't that the game where he caught the pass one-handed?
Yeah, it was
in
sick.
A dead stride.
Sick, nasty. You got to Google it right now
exactly.
if you don't know what we're talking about because it was nasty.
Yeah, it was he made the same kind of catch this past weekend in the NFL, just threw out there. And I think it was Collinsworth said something about it. He goes, I don't know what those gloves had on them, but I sure would like to have a pair of them when I played. But
well, several of the guys that were on those teams are in the NFL still. I mean, one Crabtree on Tech side of the ball, and I mean,
yeah, but it was, there. I think that game may have solidified everybody's thought on the Big 12 being a no defense. Because that was in 2016, and it was like, look at that, there's no defense, and there wasn't. There was, and I don't think it was because either offense was that magnificent. It was just piss poor defense.
Well, and they were so tired. I don't know if you remember it or not. I'm sure you probably do. The defensive line, they weren't really even firing off the ball.
Yeah, everybody was just kind of standing up,
just kind of standing there, leaning on the offensive linemen were leaning on the defensive linemen. They were like, "Will you hold me up?"
Yeah. So, but not a good game. But I mean, last year's game was much better, which is more what I think we need to see out of Oklahoma this weekend against Tech. They come in. The season, 5-3, and they're 3-2 in the Big 12. They beat TCU, they beat TCU, and I was trying to figure out, well, why in the world did TCU hold them to 17 points? Well, it's because their starting quarterback was out.
Yeah, he was out. So.
There goes that.
Throw that out the window.
Yeah. Against Ole Miss, they scored 27. Lamar, they scored 77, and they didn't play Sanford or his son. No, they did play. They didn't play his dad, Sanford. Right? That's how it goes. They scored 63 on Houston, 41 on Okie Stank, 34 on West Virginia in a loss, and then 48 on Kansas and 31 on Iowa State. So I'm saying the Iowa State, Ole Miss, we need to hold them somewhere around that range. I think we should. I don't think there's any reason why we can't. Do you?
Well, no. I think we're extremely outsized out on the, our corners are extremely outsized up against their wide receivers.
Yeah.
They've got some big, tall wide receivers. But, I mean, their offense is going to score on us. I mean, they just are. So people that, are ready to turn their Sooner chips in as soon as they, Texas Tech puts 21 or 35 on the board even. I mean, I hope they don't score 35.
Yeah.
But
well, I don't think, it's a 14-point game, is the spread. And I just think that's way too low. I mean,
oh yeah, because they may be the worst defense we've seen yet.
Yeah.
So we're going to light them up pretty hard, I think.
And, if we don't, I mean, it's going to put us – we're already behind 3 teams. It's going to put us behind an 8 ball
Yeah.
because, and we'll talk about this a little bit too, but if we don't beat everybody significantly, and when I say significant, I mean hold them, we're playing on pretty points is what we need. We need to look good. This committee needs to see, okay, they played Texas Tech, who's averaging, 55 points a game or whatever, 35, 45 points a game. They held them to 26. They held them to 24. That's what they need to. 23.
No, 3.
3. Yeah, even better.
Well, here's a pretty point that we should discuss. So, and I don't know where this information came from. I really don't even know if it's credible, but I'm pretty sure it came from ESPN.
It doesn't matter if it's credible.
All right. So, total QBR. Did you see that today?
I saw something on it.
Total QBR came out all-time QBR. I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about all-time QBR rating. Tua Tagovailoa is number 1 at 98.3, and Kyler Murray is number 2 at 98.2.
Yeah,
and the nearest one was like 87
right,
or something.
Well, and
crazy.
The scary thing is that Tagovailoa is only played 3 quarters in every game.
Well, that's his fault. I mean,
yeah.
We can't help it if they suck so bad he can't play 4 quarters.
We'll see what happens this weekend because, Alabama, I keep looking at their schedule, and you go back and look at it. Their schedule to this point has been terrible.
Yeah, it has.
I don't think hardly any of the teams they played are over 500 yet.
They haven't played a defense that's ranked.
Yeah. So
it's terrible.
We're going to find out a whole lot this weekend. Now, I think Alabama's going to win, but I don't think it's going to be a romping, roaring.
Well, we'll see. When you haven't played anybody, does that really sharpen you as a team?
Yeah, and you walk into Death Valley.
Yeah, it's not there. You're not going to
bunch of crazy Cajuns down there. So.
But you know what? A whole lot of bad things can happen for us as Sooner fans down there.
Oh yeah,
because if LSU goes in there and just barely squeaks out a win, then 2 SEC teams are getting in.
Period. Unless Alabama would trip up again, but where would they trip up? Because they won't have a chance to play in the SEC game, which is what got them in last time. Well, they didn't have a chance to lose another game.
So if LSU goes in there and destroys Alabama, they probably still get in anyway.
Yeah.
But if Alabama just barely beats LSU, then we're still talking about 2 SEC teams getting in, probably.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's another thing, if I put out on our Twitter post today, and our thoughts kind of on the top 7 stopped at Oklahoma, but really if you look at these rankings past that, they did some teams favors by ranking teams and where they ranked them at.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma is one of those teams that got a favorable.
You think so?
Iowa State. Yeah. Iowa State's ranked 24th. They haven't been ranked this year.
Right.
So now we got to win over a top 25 team.
Hey.
Even though we weren't there. Texas stayed in the top 20. So that loss,
it was almost a quality loss.
Right. But you look at, I'm trying to look here. You look at, Iowa is 16. Well, Iowa, they could play. Do they play Michigan, or will they have to play them in the championship?
No clue.
But you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like they put teams. It's like, here's our top 8. Now here's our bottom 15. And we placed them here to where if these teams knock off this team or this team beats that, you know what I mean? It to me, it just looks suspect.
Well, here's the thing. So we've been talking all day about SEC bias. I've seen multiple discussions, and I don't get involved in it, but I've seen it. Mm-hmm. And there may very well be an SEC bias, but that committee wants Oklahoma in the game. They want us in the playoffs. And I think largely in part due to Kyler versus Tua.
Right. I think you're right.
Because I'm going to tell you what, this LSU game for Alabama, Tua's Heisman Trophy can be won right there.
Right.
If he goes in and lights up LSU, it's game over.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because Kyler is having a record year.
Yeah.
But Tua can win it on Saturday against LSU, I think.
Right.
Or he could lose it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if LSU goes in there, picks him off 3 times, and
Alabama still win, but yet he throws 3 INTs, and you know, who knows? You know.
Yeah.
You know, and this is an unpopular statement, but you know, I don't care if Kyler wins the Heisman or not. I would rather him not, because like I said, the last, how many Heismans? 4?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Jason White,
Sam
Bradford, and
Baker.
Baker. The last 3 we had were in possible championship years.
Right.
Well, Jason White and Bradford were in championship years that we got beat in the championship game.
And Baker would have been.
Baker would have been.
All we got to do is beat Georgia.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'll take the Heisman as a consolation prize if we don't make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I would much rather, you know, there was talk that, you know, we've got players that aren't on the watch list for, you know, the Butkus Award and the Biletnikoff Award and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't care. Give me national titles. It's time. You know, we're racking up these individual honors, which is great. It's great for recruiting. It's great for history. It's great, but not as great as, sorry guys. I just realized what sport Rob had on.
No, that's your TV that was on there.
No,
you can't blame that on me.
You pulled up the, whatchamacallit, the multi-screen and selected that. So.
No, I didn't.
Anyway, it was college volleyball, and I was looking at Rob trying to make this great point, and he had the Sony dog look on his face, you know, kind of turning sideways.
I don't know about that.
But anyway, I would much rather have national titles right now. It's 18 years.
Do you think that you could put a poll out there and you would get one person say, no, give us the Heisman?
Oh, yeah, there would be people go, I want both, or, you know, hey, the Heisman's just as good. No, it's not.
That's not an option. You get one or the other.
You get one or the other.
Which one do you take? Would there be one person choose the Heisman over a Natty?
I don't know. That's a good idea,
If
Rob.
there are, I'm going to.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, take away their Sooner card. But, you know, and that's some of the stuff on our video on Thursday. I want to touch base on is this. The scenarios on how Oklahoma gets in to the playoffs, and also I want to bring it up, but I want to talk about it more on our Buffalo Wild Wings video. Rob, is the Lincoln Riley to the pros. We were talking about it with Caleb out there in the living room a little bit, and I'm going to really push this point to everybody out there: is why is it okay that the last 2 coaches, okay, which is a great thing. In 18 years, we've only had 2 coaches. Do we think our coach wants to leave this university?
Well, I think there's a.
I mean, think about it. Like what we talked about, what Barry Switzer said. You know, I love that post. He said what he told,
awesome.
What I told Bob was there's more people wanting his job than wanting the job you'd go take in the pros. Why is it that us as fans, or a lot of the fans out there, think, oh, well, they're going to go to the pros? Why don't we think this is a good enough job for everybody? This is one of the best jobs in all of football, including pro football.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the overall mentality or the overall view of it. I think everybody feels like, or most people feel like the pros is a step up from the college game, which you and I both disagree with.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think it's a bigger headache.
Well, I mean, just think about it this way. The coach of the Dallas Cowboys is a whole lot more popular than the coach of the Oklahoma Sooners. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the richest franchise,
right,
or whatever. You know, but, I mean, we are kind of homers here a little bit, Terry. So,
right.
I mean, we think the Sooners are the greatest team on the face of the
earth.
earth.
Are. But.
And so, you know, there's nowhere to go up from here.
Well, I mean,
but not everybody agrees with that.
Yeah, it's like every, you know, everybody was scared to death for 18 years that Bob was 18 or 17, whatever, how many years it was that he was here, that he was going to leave. He was going to go to the pros. He was going to go to he was going to go to Florida as soon as that job opened up. And boy, everybody's old butt puckered up when the Florida job opened up. Yeah. More than once. Everybody's like, oh, he's going to take it. It's like, look, what I want to tell everybody is go drive down. I know everybody out there that listens to us has been there. Go down to the Palace on the Prairie. Stand out on the south side and the south oval of that, of the Switzer Center, and look at that place. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then drive out kind of, out on Indian Hills Road and about 36th Avenue and look at the house that's out there.
Second Palace on the Prairie.
Exactly.
The second Palace on the Prairie.
That's the castle on the Prairie.
Yeah.
This job, and Lincoln's not there yet money-wise, but if he gets his team in the playoffs or gets them into not just the playoffs, if he gets to the national title game and wins it or just gets in there again, that man's going to get a whole lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to extend that contract. And there was talk about how Lincoln was kind of hesitant, and he kind of said, I don't want to ever say never. Well, nobody never said, do you honestly think Lincoln Riley, when he was at East Carolina 4 years ago, thought he was going to be coaching the University of Oklahoma?
Probably
as
not.
The head coach?
Probably not.
But if you look at Riley, I think he thoroughly enjoys coaching these kids. I think that's his calling.
And the recruiting aspect, I hear he really enjoys, but I mean, that's, I don't know if anybody really knows that.
Right.
But I think that James Hale's the one that said that, he enjoys,
the
whole recruiting aspect of it, which most coaches do not.
Right. That's because he's so dang good at it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's not to say that, 10 years from now, he might have that itch, hey, I've won, 8 national titles. I've done everything I can do here,
Well, let's hope that's the case.
Yeah, that's the case. But I mean,
how about 8 back-to-back in a all in a row?
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Starting this year, 8.
I'd be okay with that. He can leave after that.
He can leave after that.
If he goes 8 straight, he can leave.
Yeah. But, Bob used to say it when the stuff would come up was like, I'm pretty happy here. I got a great, the university stands behind Lincoln. They have for now 2 years. They stood behind Bob. I mean, it's a great support staff. And why is it just bugs me that every time a coaching job, and this thing out there is, and, Teresa was talking about it. She was watching Inside the NFL that they brought up the Cleveland Browns ought to, holler at Lincoln Riley,
Of course. She's the most dynamic offense in the nation.
In either league.
Well, I mean, it's arguably, with the Chiefs, but.
Yeah. It's, and, there are plays. Everybody knows it. Everybody's seen it. Lincoln's even talked about it where it's, he sees a play that he talked to a team about or that they ask him, the dynamics of it. He sees it. It's kind of like, hey, that was mine,
Mm-hmm.
When he does get to watch it. But, I just think Sooner fans out there need to really understand that this is a great program. It's a great job.
Absolutely.
And yeah, Jerry Jones can pay him more money than the University of Oklahoma can pay him. But is Jerry Jones willing to do that for somebody who's unproven? Probably because he's an idiot. But
right.
I mean,
yeah, he is.
But
yeah, you're right.
And Lincoln Riley's all of his mentors, okay, and his primary mentors and mentors, I think will tell him, "You're nuts." Bob didn't do it. Bob's mentor did it and failed. We talked about that before. Spurrier failed. Go look at Saban. He left LSU, went to the Miami Dolphins, and they were going to lynch him. I mean, why leave something you're extraordinarily good at?
Yeah, and like we've said already before, you don't leave a program that is only going to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, we have arguably one of the top recruiting class coming in next year.
Yeah. We got, a quarterback room full of 5-star quarterbacks. We got a running back room that's, there's running backs falling out of the ceiling that we didn't know about. And look at what we got coming in wide receiver wise. And these are guys just chomping at the bit to get here and start playing.
It's the 3 top wide receivers in the nation, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So if we make it to the playoffs again this year, or even if we win, I mean, good grief, we'll have to close the door on half of them. But I mean, it's just.
Well, and it was like, Brandon, when he was on here, and I've talked, the times talked to him when we talked to James, there's guys out there that want to come here that Oklahoma is just going,
sorry, buddy.
Not yet.
I realize
not
you're
yet.
a 4-star, but
they could be, and they can afford to do that because of what they have. So anyway, that's my 2 bits
it's a
on.
good time to be a Sooner fan.
Oh yeah, it is.
I mean,
but
I can't even imagine being a Poke fan. I mean, I just can't even imagine. I mean, your coach makes fart noises on the press conference. That's not cool.
Well, and see, here's another thing. You know how good Oklahoma is because there ain't nobody talking about Tom Herman going to the Browns.
Right.
Yeah. Or Mike Gundy. It's a good problem to have. But let's just sit back and think, maybe this is Lincoln's job, that he loves what he's doing, and he's going to do it for a long time. And
yeah, I think he is.
Like I said, if he
wins, who wants to live in Dallas?
Yeah,
No, thanks.
I mean, I don't think Barry lived in Dallas. I think he drove back and forth.
He probably just choppered in.
Yeah,
like, here comes the king.
Yeah, here comes the king. But anyway, well, let's look here what time it is. We probably start getting folks on, and like I said, Adrienne will have to wait till last. So I think we'll start with Hype Man Harry today. Okay, well, we said we were going to get Hype Man Harry on. But
won't answer the phone.
You won't answer the phone. Come on, Harry. Jeesh. So try to call him twice. Oh, and look.
He's calling in now?
Yeah, he's calling in now. See? But we will call him back because right now, all the way, I'm guessing he's out in California somewhere.
Out in Cali.
Or either that or he's, woke up at a tailgate he didn't know he was at. But that's a possibility. But we got Dan Donnelly from Tailgate Connect. Boomer Dan.
Boomer Terry, Boomer Rob. How are you guys?
Good. How are you doing, man?
Good, and I can't deny your comment either, and I won't even comment on it because that might have happened this past weekend from what I heard.
You woke up at a tailgate you didn't know you were at?
Well, there was a rumor of that. I'm not gonna go into detail.
So where were you at, or where were you supposed to be? Or where was your trip this past weekend? Because you weren't able to be on last week, right? Am I right?
Right. I was down in Atlanta on business, and then we met up with a group of my friends that I went to high school with. Just a couple of years ago, obviously.
Yeah.
And we met up in Starkville, Mississippi, aka Stark Vegas, and we were there for the Texas A&M Mississippi State game.
Okay. And that's where you ended up at, right?
And how was Starkville?
I think so. Somehow I found myself on a plane from Birmingham back to California on Sunday. That's when things started to become clear again.
Yeah. So Rob said, how was Starkville?
Outstanding. Exceeded my expectations. I think I talked to you guys before about Oxford, where old this is.
Right.
And, that kind of been in the rarefied upper echelons of tailgating lore. And Starkville, in a different way, was equally incredible. It's just a great time. People couldn't have been more friendly. Beautiful weather, great food. The scenery was just fantastic, too, and I'll leave it at that. I wrote about it in my blog. And
we understand.
Oh, my God. Yeah, anyway, so I'll leave it right there. And what happens in Stark Vegas stays in Stark Vegas.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's what I like about when, Caleb, he went to he was going to go to the game. He ended up giving a ticket to a friend of ours, little boy had never been to a game. But when they're younger guys that come out and hang out at our tailgate and stuff, they're all like, holy cow, I need to be out here more often. Their heads on a swivel, and it's not because they're playing linebacker, So,
calm down, young man. Calm down.
It's a much tougher position than linebacker.
Yeah. But it always cracks me up when the young guys get around there and they're just all, stumbling over each other. And, Caleb, there was 3 young ladies from Kansas State sat behind us. And of course my wife, she doesn't know a stranger. And, she talked to them during the whole game, and, they came down to our tailgate. And of course Caleb goes out there and starts his Rico Suave.
Playing the smackdown.
So made a bet with them that because he said that Kansas was going to beat Kansas State, and so they made a bet, and that if they win, if Kansas State wins, they get to come on the podcast and make fun of Caleb or something like that. God only knows what he gets if he wins. There's no telling what he threw out there. So
you potentially met your future ex-father-in-law.
One of 3 of them, possibly.
your choice. Welcome to my harem.
Yeah. So, but we had a good turnout for ours. We had some folks that came and went just like always, and then we had a pretty good sized group stayed there, came by afterwards, and not to pat ourselves on the back, but where our tailgate is probably the best spot to have it. And
yeah, you are. That's great.
Primarily because right next to us, well, everybody around us is great, but right next to us is the Roughnecks alumni tailgate, and those guys and gals are just a ton of fun, and so is everybody else around us. But for some reason, Saturday everybody broke down real early, and we broke down, and the Roughneck guys, the older, former Roughnecks are still sitting there with the TV on and stuff. So we sat down and watched 3/4 of the OSU Texas game with those guys, and it was just a blast. All the food and drink, and we'd already packed everything up. And I was like, I got to go dig the ice chest out. I got to get a beer. And they're like, no, get a beer out of the ice chest. I'm like, okie doke. Twist my arm. So, but
your best friend.
Oh yeah. But everybody around there is like that, and, a couple of the ladies, there was, on some of the other ones, they had some stuff but the tailgates were still going, but the ladies that my wife talked to and stuff, they weren't there. And so, but the guys kept coming over going, hey, is somebody going to, because everybody watches each other's tailgate during the game if somebody's there. And normally those 2 wives are the ones that stay there and watch the tailgates. And we had people, staying, that weren't going to the game. So, they kept coming over. Hey, y'all okay? Are you sure you're okay with watching our stuff? I was like, yeah, it's no big deal. So, but anyway.
So you stayed. You didn't go into the game.
No, I went into the game. Caleb stayed out.
Oh, okay.
And there were some other folks that came, and some friends of ours that came, and they stayed out because there's like 9 TVs around us, so you can watch the game on any TV you want. So
right.
While Rob's inside
working.
I always like to.
Rob's doing the yeoman's work, and Terry's having all the fun. I see how this thing works.
Yeah,
that's how
exactly.
It works. Yep.
Rob always drives by. And he has the look of that, the Indian back on the commercials that walked up on the trash. And had the single tear every time Rob drives by. Yeah, he always looks at us and
like, what? I did run around a little bit more than usual on the outside of the stadium this last week. But
can you tell the story that you told me?
I don't know. I guess I can, but
nobody listens to us, Rob.
Right, both people. So I have several. Golf carts and a forklift and some stuff that we keep on the inside of the stadium, through the week. But on game days, that stuff has got to get out of the stadium. And since I'm part of the management team, they don't want hourly people driving that stuff out. so I've got to drive our stuff out into the parking lot and park it. And so I'll drive the forklift out there and I'll park it. And then I have we call it the Cadillac. I'll drive the Cadillac out there. Well, the Cadillac can be the key can be turned over with your fingernail. Well, somebody figured that out during the game, and we don't know how long they were on it, but we found it 2 parking lots over. But we were just inches away from filing a police report, and they were like, "Hey, we found it! We found it!" And we're like, "Oh gosh."
Hey. Well, at least you didn't find some guy from California passed out in there.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what about the guy who wanted to see if his ticket worked?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had a guy from the alumni band. While I was out there gonna put it up, and he came up to me and wanted to see if his ticket would scan. And so, the ticket office is on the other side of the building, so I drove him around there, and of course it was closed. But
well, didn't you say, yeah, it's around there? And he goes, well, can you take me?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Which that's cool. I drove, and it's not easy anymore to get around the stadium because they've got sidewalks blocked. Getting in and out of the stadium at a certain time it's pretty much just impossible because they've got security locked down all over the place now. So. Yeah. Normally, once I get outside the stadium in any of those vehicles, they're not coming back in. So.
Not conducive, right?
Right. So, what's your thoughts on this week's game, or do you want to talk about last week's a little bit first? Or
Sure. I recorded last week's game. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it live, so got to watch it. Man, they just look like they're clicking. I know it's only 2 weeks into the new defense with Ruffin and Diaco running things, but they just have a different energy. And one of the things that I really noticed, I'm sure you guys see this too, they're hitting. They're really hitting now. And the first part of the season, it's like, man, did they not tackle in practice, or what's going on? They just didn't seem to tackle well. Now, 2 weeks in a row, you kept, 2 Big 12 teams to about 250 yards in total offense. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And the tackling, wow, it seems night and day. So something's working. Like you had called it when all this took place. Maybe a different voice is what is needed, and maybe they respond to it.
Yeah.
So really impressed there. Obviously, Murray's he's on fire.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies I was with this weekend, diehard Alabama guy. He after high school went to University of Alabama, now lives in Birmingham, and he just lives and breathes that crimson. And we had a good philosophical debate. There may have been a drink or two involved in it, but I said the fact is that I said, and let me ask you this, break it down. I said, would Alabama be undefeated without Tua? And he said, probably, yeah. And I go, there you go. I said, I don't know if we can say that because, up until last week, Murray had to play into the fourth quarter of every game.
Yeah.
Other than FAU or, one of those early ones. And I said, if you look at it from a traditional point of view, what player means the most to their team? And you could argue the kid out at Washington State with the porn star mustache there, Winshue, means a lot to his team too. Yeah. So I mean, he's a guy that's kind of put his team on his back, and Murray, up until the defense had kind of turned the corner, it was a guy he had to put up 50 points every game. So anyways, and my friend's like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. He goes, and look, I'm not saying Tua is not a player. I think that kid's phenomenal. I mean, obviously he steps out of every game midway through the third quarter after putting up 55 points, but I still think Alabama has so much talent. They're undefeated without a real fight at this point, anyways.
Yeah, well, and that's true because of the schedule that they played too. Collectively, I think everybody they played still has a losing record. I mean, collectively, it's a losing record. So,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yep, I think you're right.
Well, since you brought that up, me and Rob had this little conversation, and we're going to throw it out there maybe on a Twitter poll. And it was actually Rob's idea. I don't want to take Rob's glory from him, but I'm a little bit tired of winning Heisman trophies. Well, not like I won them. Okay, I'm a little bit tired of our team.
Yeah, what's your pose, Terry?
Winning, Heisman trophies and not national titles. I'm a little bit tired of it. And
I hear you.
if you had your ruthers, okay, this year Kyler winning the Heisman Trophy or the Sooners winning the national championship, which would you prefer?
No question. It's national championship. Yeah. So go Bama, beat the hell out of LSU, get it out of the picture, and let's get in the damn playoff. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah,
it's pretty simple.
Because the last 3 Heisman Trophy winners we've had have been in national championship contending years, and we got the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah,
and walked away.
Well, as I said, I would take it as a consolation if we don't get into the playoffs. But but it's a natty all day long.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I mean, look. I mean, you're hearing some of these pundits say the same thing. Yeah, they talk about there isn't really an offense in the SEC that's going to challenge Oklahoma. There isn't.
No.
The only offense that's going to challenge them would be Oklahoma.
Right.
And with the defense playing just a bit better, it could be a damn good game. I mean, there's no doubt their defense is just, I mean, they're stacked. Even though they say this isn't their best defense they've had, well, that's because their offense scores in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Those guys are back out on the field constantly. But I think Oklahoma is the only one right now. Really, I kind of take a step back because, as you know, I'm also a Notre Dame guy from birth. I don't think Notre Dame would have a shot in hell in beating Alabama, but I think Oklahoma does.
Yeah. Well, and I liked what just went blank. Joel Klatt said, and I've heard a couple other people say it too, is, it may be a shootout. It may be 75-72. They may not be able to stop each other, but that's the most exciting matchup. That
would be one heck of a game. Wouldn't
it? I don't know if I could handle it, man, watching it, but it could just be the fact that, I don't think there's any team out there that can stop Oklahoma as far as offensively.
Hell
no. And I say that on the, athletic side, but I'm more a Lincoln Riley fan. Is he schemes defenses apart.
Oh yeah.
His plays are designed to do certain things to people. And if you really watch that game last week, and we were talking about it earlier, and I talked about it, you see that he schemes routes to pull one guy wide open. And
how does that happen?
I don't know.
I mean, it's crazy how open he gets, and how just tells it doesn't look like they have to try hard.
Right.
I mean, really, I was rewinding plays and going back and how the hell did that guy? I mean, Calcaterra, the one play was so damn wide open.
CeeDee Lamb did it, and it wasn't a. They kind of said a busted coverage. No, they were going to. If you watch it when he breaks out, they were going up to cover somebody and realized, holy crap, where'd he come from? It was like everything was designed to keep their eye. To me, it looked like, and I said the same thing that you just said to Rob. I said their offense looked like everything they did was easy, and it was just ran to. He designed stuff to get the defense's eyes on something.
Well, it's an understanding of what how the defense is going to react to certain situations.
Right.
If we do this, the defense, if they're reading it, they're going to say, okay, they're doing that, and they're going to react that way. And in fact, it's something else.
Yeah. So. And how he does that to everybody every week is beyond me.
Amazing. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, let's go back to, again, we always bring it up the last year at the Rose Bowl. Who the hell scores 48 points on a Georgia defense that was that touted?
Right.
Other than the third quarter, 3 of the 4 quarters, they made it look pretty darn easy too.
Yeah.
So, but hey, take all the pieces together with that offensive line's fantastic. You probably have 1 or 2 running backs and both wide receivers and possibly the tight end. They're all going to be in the NFL. So it is one of the best offenses they've ever assembled. And like we said, if the defense can just play half as good as or half better than they used to. That's all they need.
Yeah,
That's all they need, because we're going to score 50. Just keep the other team to 30, and we'll be okay.
Right. So do you think that's going to happen this weekend with the mighty Texas Tech? You think
they got no problem out there. The only thing I would think, Terry and Rob, is that it what time's the game? It's at 6 Central, correct? Or 7?
No, 7 Central. Yeah.
7 Central, right. So it's 5 here. Yeah, so, night game in Lubbock, fans will have been drinking all day, all that kind of stuff, so they'll be fired up. Texas Tech probably gets a little fired up in the first quarter, and then that's it for them. I don't think they have any problem. I think once Murray he seems to have a calming influence as well. Once he figures it out, he calms the team down, and they're fine. It's not even going to be close.
So our only problem is going to be dodging tortillas. Right?
Dodging what? Well, dodging what was that?
Tortillas.
Oh.
You know that, don't you? They throw flour tortillas on those on the field.
Is that what they do?
Yeah,
okay, I
you didn't know that
before. Okay. All right, I think I've heard them throwing all kinds of things when they've been drinking all day.
Yeah, Lincoln says he's been hit with batteries.
Yeah, he's been hit with batteries there. Yeah, but I mean,
serious?
Yeah, their big thing, and I don't know why, is they throw flour tortillas. Do they throw them at the opposing team, or do they just throw them? It may be something like Oklahoma and Nebraska with oranges. I don't know what it's all about, but
Yeah, do they go to the tortilla bowl or something?
I don't know, but they throw them out there like frisbees. So,
all right, a new trend.
Yeah, but they've been doing that for a while. I think and that's what. It's just one of those weird, all
right.
Whatever. Hey, it is Lubbock. Okay, I've never been to Lubbock, but I've been to Abilene, which is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Abilene, and then I guess they call Odessa Slodessa.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law has lived out there, and then I've been to Lubbock. I've not been to a game. I did get a tour of their stadium. It was about 6 years ago or so. And Lubbock's actually was bigger than I thought it was going to be. But you know what? They're going to be fine. I'm. You want my score, don't you?
Yep. Hit us with a score.
You want me to go with my traditional 45-20?
Yeah. You want us just to write that down for the rest of the year?
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Pretty much it. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let's get a little risky here. It's 52-17.
52-17. So you're saying we're going to do the same thing TCU did to them, except we're going to win the game.
Yeah. Yep.
I sure would like that.
That's about it. Now, I saw that game when they played TCU 3 weeks ago, and I guess the quarterback who's now starting is a freshman. So they won 17-14, I think, in that game.
Yeah. Well, that was Bowman wasn't playing. That was Duffy.
Okay.
Duffy was their backup that played. So Bowman's the freshman.
All right, so so Bowman's playing this weekend.
Yeah,
then.
Yeah. So,
okay, gotcha.
And they put up 31 on Iowa State. Now, and we've thrown this out there too, just real quick. You do realize it's a very good possibility that we went out and Iowa State went out and we played them in the Big 12 championship game.
That I do, and I would
pretty
hope
good
that
championship
actually happens, right?
It's maybe the dullest of the three possibilities, right?
Because then I'll meet you guys in Dallas 1 month before you come out to Santa Clara.
So it's crazy how Texas goes and gets beat by the Pokes, and it just changes, and then of course Iowa State just thoroughly throttles West Virginia, and you go, we may be playing the Cyclones in Dallas. So
I'll tell you what, and two things with them. I guess they're now starting the freshman quarterback who didn't play against us, but the third string quarterback had a good game against us. But my buddy
with Iowa State and Oklahoma, they can grab somebody out of the crowd and they have a good game against us with Iowa State.
Yeah,
backup linebacker playing quarterback today.
You mean you're saying I have a chance?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. The game that I have the most angst about, though, it's what is it, Friday night or Saturday night after Thanksgiving in Morgantown?
Yeah, Friday night after Thanksgiving.
Oh man. I've been to games in Morgantown. It is not an easy place to play.
Yeah.
So you got 70,000 good old boys from Appalachia there that have been drinking all day as well, and it is a tough environment at night. But yeah, let's just go. We'll use the old adage, one week at a time right now.
Yeah.
See what happens Saturday.
So where are you headed this weekend?
So a small game, actually going up to UCal Davis. They're in the FCS division. They're playing Northern Arizona. They're about an hour and 15 from me. They're up towards Sacramento, and got a few buddies that are going up there. We're going to bail out probably at the beginning of the fourth quarter so we can be home, and we're going to have a watch party with the OU game on one TV and Bama LSU on another, and Notre Dame on another. So, but I'll be sitting in my swivel chair. But primary game for me is Oklahoma, so that's easy. That's an easy one.
All right. Well, we got your score down, Dan, and enjoy your tailgates, and may you wake up at the one you went to this weekend. How about that?
Why be so boring?
Yeah. But we'll talk to you next week, all right?
Guys, happy Halloween and Boomer.
Boomer, Dan. All right. Like we said, that was Dan from Tailgate Connect, and we said we were going to start the podcast with Harry, and tried to call Harry, but Harry was gone, didn't answer his phone or something. So now we finally got the man himself back on with us to talk about his view of this week's game. Hype man Harry. So Boomer Harry.
Boomer Center, guys. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Sorry about that, by the way.
That's all right. Hey, you had to. You said you take your nephew out trick or treating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
was it? Did it rain on you guys?
It was cold.
I'll say that. Makes you wonder why you left, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Well, here's a question I got for Rob, you too. Okay. Now, Harry, how old are you?
I am 35, 36-ish.
35, 36-ish.
Yep.
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
1982,
Okay.
so you can do the math yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm 50 to 51. Okay, just had see, Harry, you just made me think about how old I am. But back in my day, and Rob, you're about the same age I am. You're
I'm 40-ish.
40-ish. Yeah. But there was times, I played Little League, boys club is what it was, boys club football back in McAllister. And there was times that I had football practice, Little League football practice, or a game on Halloween night that I literally finished a game and just left my uniform on.
I went trick-or-treating in your uniform?
I went trick-or-treating.
And you went trick-or-treating in your that was your costume,
That was my costume. The only thing that my dad would do, we didn't have the black eye stuff. You couldn't get it anywhere, but my dad would get, he was a fisherman, we all grew up fishing, but he had some actual corks, and he would burn the ends of them and rub that cork under my eyes. But did you ever do something like that? You just literally wore what you had on leaving football practice or something to do trick-or-treating?
Yeah, I don't remember doing that, but I'm from a small town, so my parents would give us like a grocery sack and go, just go. I mean, we were little too, like me and my brother, and we just took off.
I remember doing the same thing. So
until I couldn't carry that bag anymore, and then it was time to come home.
So, you have anything like that happen to you, Harry? Or you were doing something?
Here's the thing, guys. I have two issues with that. Is that I've always been too short to play, so I've always been a fan in the first place.
Yeah.
So I've never had that issue. And then B, back when I was at Lawton Mac, in I guess that would be 2000, 99, 98, that era, we weren't the same Lawton Mac that we are now. We're always getting the state championships. In fact, we were pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave it at that. So we weren't ever playing in November. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I don't want to trash my own high school, but
yeah, but no, when I was
that's just the numbers.
I'll never, I'll never forget that. Just it'd be like finishing practice, and my dad would be out there, and he'd have a, what's called a pillowcase out in the truck, It's like, you ready to go trick or treat me? He'd take me up to Cardinal Lane in McAllister and drop me off, and I'd work my way back over. Me and my brothers would work our way all the way about 4 miles down the road to where my grandparents lived, and that's where we'd end up at. But
that's where you start.
Yeah, but so what, Harry? What are you thinking about this weekend? Is Oklahoma going to be able to keep this trend that they've had defensively the last 2 weeks?
Well, the thing is, and I think that Buzzy, who's I guess is his senior now, good man, he's getting old. He was on this team. Of course, he wasn't a junior college kid, so he was here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that he said it best, is that 2 years ago they were not very happy with their performance in the 4 quarters.
Right.
And I think that Sooner fans were, because of the outcome. There was still some, get rid of Mike Stoops and all that, but I think a lot of that was quieted, guys, because at the end of the day, there's only 2 options: you either win or you lose.
Right.
And we were on the winning end of it.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. It was still a bad game,
when you
though.
Win, yeah, it was still a bad game, but the Band-Aid doesn't quite hurt as much when you realize that you won.
Right. So, do you think it's going to be like that, or are we going to be able to hold them down this week?
I think it's going to be kind of in between, to be honest. Because just like we're looking better defensively, as are they looking better defensively. They got their 2 leading tacklers coming back. Of course, one of them from the last chance U, not the last chance U, but the one before, is the junior college.
Yeah.
2-time junior college national champion. They got him back, and their other leading tackler is also back. 2 years ago, he led the team in tackles. Last year, I think he was 3rd in tackles, and he's back again this year up there at the top. So, and then they're both the linebackers. So if we can beat them over the top, we can have some fun with this, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of in the same boat. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, definitely. He really said it all right there, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's our defense is improved enough. I think that this team has to defensively hold some teams down point wise to look pretty to the committee.
Well, and I hope that we just shut them down.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they can't do anything against us, because we really need that, like you said, for the committee to say, yeah, this Oklahoma team, that's who we want to match up against Alabama. We want them in. So.
Right.
And the difficult thing, guys, is it's not only this week, the next week, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
To do what you guys are talking about, that is going to be really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
Poke chokes. You might not like them. You might not like them.
Right.
But the point is, their quarterback's having a good year. Bounced back last week. What the heck happened? Someone gave him some of that Kool-Aid or something.
Yeah.
Got really hot, and then of course West Virginia. They're always playing well. I guess the only exception to that would be Kansas, and they just beat TCU.
Yeah.
So who the heck knows what happens there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who would have thought that TCU would be 1-4 in the conference right now? I mean, dead
they're
last.
The worst team in this league right now.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
They're
the absolute worst team in the league because they got beat up by Kansas.
Yeah. The bad part about that now is that we can't make fun of Texas for losing to Kansas. Because now, but it was also, I don't think, let's see, Texas Tech, A&M, Baylor, TCU, and Texas all lost last week. So the state of Texas lost last week.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, so, I thought that was interesting. But, what do you think? What do you think, Harry, about the top, the college football playoff rankings came out? What's your thought on the top 7?
I don't have any problem with the main 4. Of course, I've got a little issue of 5 and 6, and where we end at 7. I got a little bit of an issue there, but I think all that's going to work itself out.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's going to work itself out. with LSU and Alabama meeting this week. The team that scares me the heck right now, guys, and the team that can jump, and I don't think that they're going to jump us, but if they could, they would, and that would be the Leecher.
Yeah.
They're sitting right there at 7. They're sitting right there at 7. We're at 7, so
And
they're at 8.
Yeah.
They don't, and they have everything in front of them. They have a championship game. They do this. They do that. Have they played Washington yet, guys? That'd be interesting to find out if they played Washington. Well, they haven't because that's their rival.
Right.
So they'll play them the last game of the season.
Right. So
before they're I don't know if they've yet qualified for their championship game. I'm guessing not. Washington's in there, but
I thought
that
I'll have to look it up. I thought Washington beat Washington State. That's their lone loss. I could be wrong.
Oh, did they move it up? They might have moved it up this year.
I could have swore that's who Washington State lost to was Washington.
Okay. Well,
I could be wrong, but that wouldn't be the first time.
I mean that would be be interesting because
what people need to realize is literally 2 teams could be taken out of the mix this weekend because Alabama should beat LSU and Kentucky could beat Georgia. And then it's a whole different deal. Now, the other scenario would be that Kentucky jump us, then Kentucky's going to lose a game anyway. But I don't think anybody behind us is going to jump us, no matter who they beat. But
yeah. And speaking of teams that really scare you guys, speaking about how a lot of people think that Oklahoma can't lose and won't lose, and they fingers crossed they won't.
Yeah.
Speaking of a team that probably won't lose is Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And like them or not, they're not in the conference. If they go undefeated, and Oklahoma has 1 loss, and they don't go undefeated, they're going to take the undefeated team.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast. You're not going to be able to keep them out.
Yeah. Well, and you shouldn't, but I still think that Notre Dame's not as good as being portrayed. I mean, they barely squeaked out a win against Pitt. I think Notre Dame's going to end up losing one. If they lose one, they'll drop way out of it.
They'll drop pretty hard.
Yeah.
So Washington State's only losses to USC.
Oh, okay.
39-36.
Yeah, I was just looking at Washington has.
Washington's
they lost the 2 road games. You guys remember the one at Oregon a couple of weeks ago after the Texas game. And then they beat Colorado, and then they lost to Cal last week.
Yeah. But
they'll play Washington. The Apple Cup is what they call it. Like I said, that's like their bedlam. Their final game of the year.
Yeah.
Will be the 23rd, and then the next week, if they qualify for the looks like that winner right now is going to qualify for the Pac-12 championship. I'm not sure where they play that. I think they play it on site on the side of the winning team, but I think that's crud.
Yeah.
They've got a brand spanking new stadium that. In fact, the winner of the national championship is going to be played there.
Yeah.
If Oklahoma can get there, in the new L.A. Rams Oakland Raiders Stadium.
Yeah.
There in California, so they really need to look at moving that thing out there now, or to the where do they play the Fiesta Bowl? Out in Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah, Glendale, Arizona.
Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a complete choke job. Now, obviously, I think it's, in my opinion, it is okay that our buddy Seth Luttrell and those guys, it's okay that they play on a non-neutral, it's okay that they play on a campus site. Because nobody is going to pay to see the MAC play or the Conference USA play on a neutral site.
Right,
it's just
yeah,
not
they're not
going
to travel. Right.
But when you get these power conferences in, I guarantee you're going to get more money, you're going to get more beer sales, and you're going to get everything you want. You're going to get more everything if you move them all to neutral sites.
Right.
Because I think that they're the only one right now that hasn't. Well, I know they're the only one that's a neutral site because we have ours in Arlington. Of course, SEC has theirs in that brand spanking New Georgia Stadium. Have y'all seen that one yet?
No, I haven't been there. No, I've seen
New Georgia. Oh, that thing's gigantic too. Of course, Indianapolis has the Big Ten championship, and then the other major conference, and then I guess the ACC. But they play theirs at North Carolina, don't they? The Panther Stadium.
Yeah, they play it at the Panther Stadium. Yep.
So they're the only ones that have it at a non-neutral site, and I think that's a complete choke job. But then again, that's because they didn't have an NFL, they didn't have an NFL arena there that was capable of doing that.
Right.
I guess the only one close would have been to Oakland, but nobody wants to go to Oakland.
Yeah.
And
so now in their right mind,
now that there's
anyway.
a new LA one, they should try to move it there. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So you can take it or leave it.
So what's your score prediction for Saturday?
I'm going to go 52-41. Another close one. I think we're still going to win it, though.
So you're thinking they're going to be able to keep up with us?
They're going to want to prove something, man.
Yeah.
After what happened last week, they're going to want to have to prove something, and we're going to have to prove that we're going to have to prove it too. They want to keep that quarterback up straight, and so for them to do that, and they weren't really able to do that last week in Ames. They got after him pretty quick. We can do the same thing. We can get after him too with Perkins and those guys if they'll just do it. If they'll just get to the quarterback, but we haven't been able. We've been saying that since Texas.
Yeah.
And against Texas, they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
In fact, Texas was a more physical team on the offense and the defensive line up front. If you really take a hard look at it, they were the better team, offensive line and defensive line in that game.
Yeah.
In Dallas,
they beat our defensive line up bad, which is pathetic. But we don't have to worry about that anymore. It's or the cause of that anymore.
Don't say that. They can sneak back in.
Yeah.
But hopefully, and hopefully that does happen, because I would love to get another shot at Texas. I think that we could have beaten them the first time, even with as poorly as we got pushed around on the line.
Yeah.
That right now that looks like that's not going to happen. To be honest, guys, and I know that you guys are an OU podcast, and we'll talk more about OU here in a second, I guess, but as far as Texas is concerned, I think they lose 2 out of 3 now. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to – I think that no matter what happens, win or lose, against Texas Tech, that's going to be a difficult game. Or Texas Tech, that's going to be a difficult game either way. That's still a rivalry. That's their rivalry game that week this year.
Yeah, and they got to play.
As always,
they got to play Iowa State,
West Virginia, and Iowa State.
Yeah,
and I think only one of the Texas Tech game that I'm talking about, that one's going to be in Lubbock.
Yeah.
So if that's a night game,
yeah, it could be tough on them.
I mean, it scares me to go up there in 2 days, guys, as a night game for OU. But when you get a true natural rivalry game down there in a night game, then you honestly never know who's going to win.
Yeah, that's true. Well, hey, Harry, all your stuff is good as usual. Adrienne, we saved her for last because, we have to be nice to the ladies.
Everybody likes to drink, so why not, right?
Yeah, she had plans this evening, and so we told her we'd save her till last, but it's getting up there in time. So we're going to get to her so we can get off of here and get this thing out to everybody. But we got your score down, and as always, we appreciate your time, buddy. All right?
Thanks, guys. Boomer Sooner.
All right. Boomer Harry. All right. Rob, Hype Man Harry always has some great stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah. Everybody loves Hype Man. He knows his stuff too, man.
Yeah, he's an icon of local radio. But anyway, we saved the lady till last, the best till last. She is the self-proclaimed goddess of tacos and beer. We have Adrienne. Boomer Adrienne.
Boomer.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys tonight?
Good.
I'm pretty sure if she was the goddess of tacos, like tacos would just rain down in my kitchen, but that doesn't really happen. So, like, it's kind of depressing.
There are always tacos available in my kitchen.
Well, so now, what do you the dictator? Is that what you call him?
That is what I call my son.
Your
yes.
son. Now, did you take him trick or treating, or is he past that age?
Oh no, he's like going to be 16 in December. He hasn't talked to me since he got home from school. So,
So that's a no on the trick or treating.
Oh, so you don't exist anymore, do you, Mother?
no, but I did go get him a Halloween surprise. Like he's not going to be 16 in December, and I brought it home to him, and he just said, "Oh, okay, thanks."
What'd you bring him?
Well, I brought his favorite. I brought those little mini unwrapped Reese cups, and then I brought
gotcha.
like some other candy, and then I brought him like his favorite soda. So, I made a little Halloween thing.
And he was just like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, like you should have brought all this home anyway, so.
Well, my grandkids came up from McAllister, and me and Rob were trying to explain to them the type of candy we wanted them to bring back. They had nothing to do with it. They're like, shut up. I'm not going to get you any candy. So
Oh, wow. Harsh.
yeah. Yeah. But
That's funny.
yeah. I don't think they ended up going trick or treat. I went because it's been raining and cold here all
Yeah,
day.
the weather here is not great.
Yeah.
I think we had just enough break in the weather that the kids could like go out for a little bit, and now we're under a tornado warning. So.
Nice.
Down in Houston?
Oh yeah, nothing like a Halloween tornado.
So, what kind of beer do we have on tap tonight?
Tonight we're going to be drinking from a brewery in Houston called Spindle Tap, and the beer is called Hop Gusher IPA. And it's a pretty hoppy IPA, but it's like really good. It finishes nice and clean. It's mild. It's not. It's got a lot of the citrus flavor in it, which I really like in an IPA. And so it's just a really nice, good flavor balance. Like you could probably just enjoy it on any kind of day if you wanted to.
So I'm guessing the brewery Spindle Tap. That's a takeoff of Spinal Tap.
I would guess. I don't know. I picked this beer particularly because there's like an oil derrick on the can, and that was really the only thing that stuck out to me. And so this is what West Texas is, which happens to be where Lubbock is, which happens to be where Tortilla Tech is. So
Yeah, there's not much out in the Lubbock vicinity.
there is not.
You know what
It's a terrible, terrible place to go visit. I had a friend who went to school at Texas Tech. And we went out there when we were in college. And I can just tell you, that was the most boring college town I've ever been in.
You know, the camera does a pretty good job of hiding the tortillas coming down because I don't know that I've
Yeah,
ever
that
seen it
is
on
the
TV.
craziest thing. What is wrong with those people? How are you going to waste good, perfectly good tortillas like
Well, they
that?
can make a taco out of that, right?
That's taco material. Like, you don't throw away your taco material.
Yeah.
That's just blasphemy. So they're basically my least favorite team in the Big 12, other than Texas, because they waste their tortillas, and I can't handle that.
They waste potential tacos.
Yes,
Wow.
that tortilla was going to be a taco. It had a dream and a vision, and they threw it on the ground.
Yeah, I was hoping, we were going to do a podcast on Monday night with a guy that does a podcast down in Lubbock for the Red Raiders, but I was sicker than a dog. I was on
Oh, no.
I was on the reserve list that night. I was wanting to find, I don't know why they throw tortillas out there. Do you,
That would
Rob?
be a good question to ask some of those guys.
I have no idea, but I would like to ask somebody because it's a terrible habit.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a reason for it. They've done it forever, but it's not because they, Oklahoma and Nebraska used to throw oranges on the field but that was for the Orange Bowl. We were going to the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, I kind of just think that maybe it's because there's nothing else to do there and it's a horrible place.
Well, I mean, as things go, that seems to be,
I can't imagine, like, you're sitting there. That's kind of like the weirdos in West Virginia wanting to burn couches. I mean, you know.
Well, see, I've never understood, places like Abilene and Lubbock and even Amarillo or Borger, any of those towns out there. What made somebody stop there? 200
Yeah,
years ago.
like,
and
Ran
oh,
out of
hey, this
gas.
looks like a great place to set up shop.
yeah. Well,
I mean,
saying,
really,
there's no trees, there's no
In
water.
the West Texas area, it's definitely all oil-based.
Yeah, but
Everything that's out there is because of that. Like, there had to be no other reason why, like, oh, this is a beautiful place to live, because it is not.
It's the same way with, southern Louisiana. You get down around New Orleans and stuff and those little bayou towns. It's like, what idiot stopped here 100 years ago and went, I'm going to build a house on stilts and fight off water moccasins and alligators.
Yeah.
The town that comes to mind when you say that is Dulac.
Dulac.
If you've never been to Dulac, Louisiana, by all means, plan your vacation to go visit.
I think I have, now that if you tell me
don't.
If you tell me where, I've probably been through it because I used to do a lot of work down in Louisiana. So
Yeah, it's way south of New Orleans, way down on the coast, in like the farthest reaches of hell.
I've been to Lake Charles. It's a different. I've got a pretty weird story.
Well,
about
Lake Charles is just the casino place. It's not even like Lake Charles is like half-ass part of Texas. So.
Yeah, it's the sugarcane capital, I think, down there.
Yeah, like you just don't even count that as really Louisiana. The only reason you go there is because you can gamble over the border.
Okay.
So wait a minute, Rob. What was the story that happened to you in Lake Charles?
So I went down there to validate the freezers in this. I used to open plasma stores.
Yeah.
And my boss met me down there, and we validated those freezers. And all of the people that we had hired to work in that center, they were Louisiana girls. I mean, they were backwoods Louisiana. And my boss was kind of weird, and he said, hey, you guys got to tell us where we can go to a real voodoo place. And they were like, no, we don't want to tell you that. And he just kept on and kept on. And they were like, okay, you go down this way. And then when you get to this tree, you take this left. And then you pull up and you go down in this thing. And there's a trailer house down there. Now don't get out of the car. And I was like, what? And they're like, don't get out of the car. You just honk the horn. And they'll come out and get you. If you get out the car, some bad stuff going to happen to you. And I'm like, who in there? And he still wanted to go. I'm like, who in their right mind wants to go after that? Don't get out of the car. Okay. How about I don't go? And
that sounds like when you have to go buy the moonshine from the moonshiner in Arkansas by where my mom lives.
I'm like, no,
don't get out of the car. Honk the horn.
Honk the horn twice.
Come on, I'm paying. I'm like, you go by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you get, like you say, you get down in that area, that they believe in that stuff too.
Hey, and those girls, they did not want to tell us.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, no, we don't think that's a good idea. And if they didn't think it was a good idea,
then you didn't think it was a good idea.
I'm like, hey, if they don't like it, I don't like it.
I could just see your face this whole time. I don't want to go down there.
No, I'm like, I've made some bad decisions in my lifetime. I mean, I promise you I have. But that, I'm glad to say, is not one of them.
Going to a voodoo house in Lake Charles, Louisiana was not.
Nope. Did not make the list.
There was a drunken hobo peeing on a building in New Orleans one time who said to me, and as a matter of fact, I tweeted this today because it's my favorite Halloween thing because this happened on Halloween several years ago. He's peeing on this building. I'm walking by, and he's like, with another person, he's like, hey, kids, stick to your kind of magic. If voodoo is not your magic, don't fuck around with voodoo. And he's just standing there peeing, and I'm like, all right, buddy, we got it. No voodoo.
And stay in school and don't smoke crack.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you have to do it in New Orleans.
Don't smoke crack.
Don't smoke. Yeah, just keep walking.
Yeah, mostly, don't stand around and pee on the building. But, hey, whatever.
So did you take his advice?
I actually did not take his advice one time. I bought a book about voodoo.
And
I brought it home, and I started reading it, and I got a plague of flies in my bathroom. This is no lie. These giant adult flies. I don't know where they came from because it was wintertime. So I killed them all and smashed them, and I came back the next day, and there were still flies in my bathroom. So I repeated this process 3 days in a row, and then I threw that book in the recycling bin and had it recycled.
So somebody else could get a plague, huh?
You don't mess around with voodoo if it's not your magic.
I guess not.
So what you're saying is, if we're ever in New Orleans on Halloween, and a drunk guy peeing on the building tells us something, to listen to him.
That's right. You listen to the drunk guy pissing on the building.
Who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk it? You know. So.
I mean, the best life advice is given right there.
You're just full of it, aren't you?
Sometimes.
Yeah. You know what was it a couple of weeks ago? Accidents happen. Why do you think they wear protective equipment in the lab?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
That's
we can do witch stuff, but we don't mess around with voodoo.
I actually want to get a shirt that says that. Accidents happen. But so, were you happy last weekend with the Sooner game?
Okay, I had to watch it after the fact, so I'd already read a whole bunch about it. I was happy with it. I actually went to a concert last weekend instead of watching football all day because my birthday was on Monday.
That's terrible.
So
terrible.
I went out on Saturday to a concert that was out all day. The weather was perfect. Had a great time. Come home, caught all up on my football on Sunday while I was recovering.
So,
and
what concert did you go see?
We went to a concert, BuzzFest, so there were several bands. There was like Mike Shinoda, the guy who was from Linkin Park, and then the Dirty Heads and the Perfect Circle and Puddle of Mud and a bunch of other people.
Boy, Puddle of Mud. I didn't even know they were still around.
Yeah, well, as far as that goes, that was not my dish, but some of the other stuff I was there to see was really good.
Well, good.
At the concert itself, a nice outdoor day with, really pretty weather, so it was good. But
so you took a chance of jinxing our Sooners by not going to not watching the game.
I wore OU gear and I turned my sign on before I left this house.
You guys are really weird, aren't you?
Everything was fine.
Okay, because there was something about the OU Texas game. You went to something.
I bought tickets to the Austin City Limits Festival. That will never happen again. I will never go to that music festival again.
But see, there's the same. There was another. Here you are flirting with voodoo. Okay.
Yes.
By going, I'm going to go to a music festival instead of watching the Sooners. You could have just rent the whole season.
I could have, but I really, sometimes I got to get out of the house. Actually, I was poor planning on my part. So I usually don't do much on football season unless I'm camping and I can listen to the game on the radio. So, but I was pleased with how the game went. I was pleased with a lot of the things. I really don't think the defense had super time to shine because the Kansas State offense wasn't like stellar,
right.
But I saw some things that were good. So I still those glimmers of improvement each week, and I'm okay with that. As long as we're progressing and not regressing, I'm good. So I was pleased.
So, do you have any plans this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to watch the game.
Okay.
It's an evening game. I'm going to sit at home. I'm going to drink some beer and watch the game.
Okay. What are your thoughts about this weekend? Are we going to be able to hold them down to 17 points?
I think that they probably going to drop about 24 on us.
Okay.
I've got them going 24 to 27 myself. Would I love to hold them to 17? Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd really like to just hold them to 0. Mm-hmm. Whatever with Cliff Kingsbury. He seems smug.
Mm-hmm. Not a Kingsbury fan, are you?
No. I just don't see I don't know. I just don't see him being some superstar coach. But I also don't think that Texas Tech has many options because it's in the middle of nowhere in the desert.
Right.
So, who else are you going to get to come there?
Yeah,
nobody.
You already ran off Mike Leach, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, whatever. Cliff is not a bad coach, but I think he would probably fare better as somebody's offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Probably.
But
he did a pretty good job at A&M as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's kind of overwhelmed as a head coach, and I also think that as a whole, they go back and forth on defense. Like, they do okay for a while, they don't do okay for a while. They do okay for a while, they don't. Like, they don't have consistency on their defense year in and year out.
Well, I think the whole thing is Cliff does just enough to not get fired every year.
Pretty much.
Yes, that's kind of his theme is
Yeah.
how can I keep my job?
Yeah, I don't have to coach at Oklahoma and be in the national title race every year to keep my job. I just got to win more than I did last year or the same as I did last year. He just does enough to keep his job.
Yeah, just make it to the bowl game maybe, and you'll be okay.
I couldn't imagine being in a fan base like that, like there in Oklahoma
Oh,
State.
God, it's just like, let's accept the mediocrity.
Yeah.
It's fine. This is all we have is football because there's nothing else out here, and we're going to accept this.
And you really don't like Lubbock, do you?
No. I can tell you, the reason I don't like Lubbock is because not the time when I was out there visiting my friend who was in college, but the time I went out there for the OU game. And, of course, I have OU stuff on my car. My car got vandalized.
Ah.
So, yeah. Not only did my car get vandalized, but some weirdo in the parking lot, after we had beaten them, yelled at me that some pretty derogatory things, including that I needed to be assaulted physically. And I'm putting that nicely.
I shouldn't laugh at that, should we? I'm sorry for laughing.
But I was just like, who the hell does that over a football game? But it happened to me at Texas Tech, and it happened to me at Texas A&M. Those two places are terrible.
Yeah.
They're the worst places in Texas. Like, who behaves like that? I don't care win or lose. You don't yell things like that at people.
No, I wouldn't think
And
so.
you don't vandalize their car.
Yeah, that's a little bit. Well, both of those is a little bit overboard.
Yes.
A little bit. I mean, as far as
So Rob, note to self: let's stop keying the opposing team's cars.
no.
Yeah, don't do that. But, if you're going to go to Lubbock to watch the game, fly in and rent a car so that when they vandalize it, it's not yours.
Or just don't put anything Oklahoma on your car.
Yeah, don't drive your car out there that has the OU stuff on it. Just leave your car at home. Because, from here to Lubbock, for me, it's about the same 8 hours as driving home to Oklahoma to visit my family.
Yeah.
So I've driven out there. And, I just drove my car. Why would I fly? Well, now I know. If I ever decide I want to attend another game in that vile place, I need to fly and rent a car. So...
So you got the Red Raiders at 24. What do you got the Sooners at?
60.
Yeah. 60 to 24. I like that.
I think we run up the score on them.
Because we need to. We don't really need to
because,
run. We don't need to run
because
up
we
the
need
score.
to,
We
and
need to hold.
B, just because I just feel like it seems like a good team to run up the score on. So.
Well, we really don't need to run up the score on anybody. We just need to hold the score down on everybody.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I want to see us run up the score too, though.
Yeah. Oh, I think we'll throw up 50 easily on.
But
those
I mean,
guys.
if we can
Pretty
go on
easily,
the
I
road and score 60, that's fun.
Yeah. And the worse we beat people, the better we look.
Exactly.
So
So.
So you got plans, you got everything in place to be at home and doing the proper
I
things
do.
for a game. No.
We've got beer and tacos on the menu, obviously, and then we've got we're gonna hang out here, watch the football game, probably freak out my neighbors. It's
Yeah.
okay.
No music festivals that you forgot about.
No, I have nothing on my agenda this weekend at all.
Okay. Except to watch football. I just found out that I'm probably going to get, not probably, I'm going to go see Kiss on their farewell tour. So
Oh, nice.
I'm pretty
That
happy
sounds
about
fun.
that. They're coming to Oklahoma City my birthday weekend.
Oh, nice.
So as soon as those tickets drop, I'm going to buy them. You want to go see
Well,
Kiss
that
with
sounds
us,
like a
Rob?
fun time.
You don't want to see Kiss?
No.
Is it because of the music or the crowd?
The crowd.
The crowd.
No,
Is it because you don't like crowds or because you don't like old people who are going to be all dressed weird?
No, I'll tell you, if he's at our house for a game and more than 10 people show up, Rob looks like you're holding a gun to him. He's just like,
okay, so he's not a crowd guy.
Yeah.
See, I'm like, whatever, the more the merrier. So,
and it's not, he does okay in restaurants, but it's just in like the football stadium. There was the one of my favorite stories about Rob was him and Rhett they were supposed to come over and watch a game. This was about 5 years ago, and he sends me a text that, hey, we're not going to come over. We actually were at the game, and he sends me this picture of them at the game, of the field and everything. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we're sitting there, and about 15 minutes later, Rob and Rep show up at my house.
oh gosh.
And I think it was the first game of the year, the second game, and y'all were on the east side, and the sun was just beating down on them. Rob told me, it's too damn hot.
It is pretty hot when it's that first couple of games, man. Maybe even sometimes the first 3 or 4 games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The weather's just brutal.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like, like I said, it was literally like 15 minutes later, he comes walking in my door. I'm like, I thought you were going to the game, man. It's too hot.
Oh, that's funny.
But, well, anyway, Rob, do you have anything?
Not really. I'm looking forward to this game. It's a game where we can make a statement where the defense.
Oh, me too.
I mean, shutting down Kansas State's, one thing.
Yeah.
But shutting down a spread attack, spread attack like that, that would go a long way for our defense. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. It's an opportunity to show that real improvement. Yeah. Like I said, you can't show much improvement on offense that's kind of dead.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think what we're going to do is just go ahead and end it today with Adrienne on the phone with us.
We're breaking up with you, Adrienne.
We're
ending it.
Man, damn! I've never been broke up with 2 people at the same time before. I usually keep my stuff in line better than that.
You usually keep them separated,
Yeah.
No, but we're going to end the podcast tonight with everybody. We appreciate you listening to us, and reach down again. Yeah, I'm doing it again, Rob. Push the subscribe button on whatever app you're listening to, or if you're listening to us on YouTube, push the subscribe button, and watch for our YouTube video on Friday. We're going to have some stuff we're going to try again from Buffalo Wild Wings. But that's it for our Tailgate Like a Champion. Boomer Sooner, everybody. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
Boomer Adrienne. Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. Hit the subscribe button right now on whatever app you're listening to download every episode as they come out. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook and on YouTube. Boomer Sooner.